Hi there. Many UK families fear losing their home to care fee assessments. In this video, PTA explains how protective property trusts can legally protect your family home.
Hello there. Today we're going to talk about something that's on the minds of so many UK homeowners. How do you actually protect your family home, your single biggest asset, from potentially being sold to cover future care costs? It's a real worry, isn't it? Well, to give you some clarity, this entire breakdown was put together by the expert tax advisors over at Pro Tax Accountant, one of the UK's most trusted firms, so you know you're in good hands. Right, let's just start with a number, £1,000. Now, that could easily be the average weekly cost for a residential care home here in the UK. I'll say that again, a week. That's a truly staggering figure, and it immediately brings up a very, very personal question for millions of us. And for the vast majority of homeowners, the answer is, unfortunately, a resounding yes. The home you've worked your entire life for, the place where all those memories were made. It could genuinely be at risk. The system, as it stands, isn't really set up to protect you. But you know what? Understanding how it works is the absolute first step toward protecting what's yours. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get a real sense of the scale of this problem. Then, we're going to look at a very common and very costly mistake, a trap that catches so many people out. After that, we'll get to the good stuff, a smarter way to protect your home. We'll break down exactly how it works, the crucial rules you absolutely must follow, and finally, what your next steps should be. Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it, the financial reality for homeowners heading into 2026. See, the way social care funding works is that it's means tested. And in simple terms, that just means the local council looks at everything you own to decide if you should pay for your own care. And guess what's usually top of that list? Yep, the family home. Now, take a look at these figures. This table shows you just how low the bar is set. In England and Northern Ireland, if you have assets worth more than just £23,250, you're expected to pay for your care in full. For pretty much any homeowner, the value of your property alone blows right past that limit, which means you're classed as a self-funder until your savings are basically drained. And here's the real kicker. A lot of people were counting on government reforms that were meant to introduce a cap on care costs around £86,000. But those plans, they were scrapped, gone. That safety net everyone was waiting for, well, it's just not coming. And without that cap, there is, theoretically, no limit to how much of your home's value could be eaten up by care costs. The exposure is total. So when you're faced with that reality, it's completely natural to think, well, I'll just give my assets away. I'll sign the house over to the kids. But, and this is a huge but, that line of thinking leads directly into a massive pitfall called the deprivation trap. This one catches a lot of people out, so it's so important you understand the rules here. Deliberate deprivation is the official term for trying to get rid of your assets specifically to avoid paying care fees. Local authorities have some pretty serious powers to look into this, and if they decide that avoiding fees was your main reason, they can legally assess you as if you still owned everything. Basically, it makes the whole thing pointless. So, what does this actually look like? Well, it could be as obvious as transferring the house deeds to your son or daughter, but it could also be gifting a big lump sum of cash, or even going on a sudden lavish spending spree that's totally out of character. The council is going to look at two main things. The timing, did you do this when care seemed likely? And, most importantly, what was your motivation at the time? And this right here busts a really common myth. You've probably heard of the 7-year rule, right? The idea that if you give something away and live for 7 more years, it's safe. Well, here's a pro tip for you. That rule is for inheritance tax. It has nothing to do with care fees. For care fees, there is no time limit. A council can look back 10, 15, even 20 years if they think the main reason was to dodge those fees. And here's the key takeaway from all that. For a council to actually make a case for deprivation, they have to prove that avoiding care fees was a significant motivation for what you did. Your intent is everything. And that's why having other solid, legitimate reasons for your financial planning is absolutely vital. Which, as it happens, brings us to a much, much smarter way of doing things. Okay, so if just giving your home away is a trap, what on earth is the solution? Well, this brings us to a completely legitimate, well-established estate planning tool that offers powerful protection when it's set up correctly. It's called a protective property trust. Right, let's make this really simple. A protective property trust is basically a special clause that you put inside your will. Think of it like a legal safe that holds your share of the family home after you're gone. It gives your surviving partner the absolute right to live in the house for the rest of their life, completely undisturbed. But, and this is the crucial part, your share of the property is locked away inside that trust, safe and sound for your kids or whoever you've chosen to inherit. And the benefits here are just huge. First off, because your share is legally in the trust, it doesn't belong to your surviving partner. And that means it can't be touched by a means test if they need care later on. It also stops something called sideways disinheritance. This is where, say, your partner remarries, and suddenly your half of the house could end up going to their new family, not your own kids. This trust makes sure your children get your share no matter what happens. That all sounds great in theory, doesn't it? But how does it actually work in the real world? Okay, let's break this down into a really clear step-by-step process. I promise it's more straightforward than you might think. The very first step, and honestly this is the key that unlocks the whole thing, is to change the way you legally own your home. Most couples own their property as joint tenants. That just means you both own 100% of it together, and if one of you passes away, the other automatically gets the whole thing. Now, to use a trust, you have to change that to tenants in common. It's a simple legal switch, and it just means you each own a separate share, say 50-50, that you can then leave to whoever you want in your will. So let's just walk through an example. Let's imagine a couple, David and Sarah, from Bristol. First, they change their ownership to tenants in common. Second, they each get new specialist wills written that include the trust. Okay, so when David passes away, his 50% share goes straight into the trust. Sarah carries on living in the house exactly as she did before. She has what's called a life interest. Then, maybe years later, when Sarah passes away, her 50% goes to the kids through her will, and David's 50% is released from the trust and also goes to the kids. You see, his half was protected that entire time. Now stay with me. This next part is incredibly important. A protective property trust is not some dodgy loophole or a sneaky tax dodge. It is a legitimate, long-standing part of estate planning. But for it to work, it has to be set up correctly and, crucially, for the right reasons. You'll want to hear this part. Same. To defend against any potential challenge from a local authority down the line, you need to be able to show that avoiding hair fees wasn't your only reason or even your main reason. And luckily, these trusts serve so many other powerful purposes. They're fantastic for blended families, to make sure children from a first marriage are looked after. They guard against that sideways disinheritance we talked about. They can even protect against a partner's future financial problems. Having these other excellent reasons is your key to proving this is just good, sensible estate planning. So what does it cost to put this kind of protection in place? Well, typically, a specialist solicitor will charge somewhere in the region of £1,500 to £4,000 to do the paperwork and draft the two specialist wills with the trusts inside. When you think about that and you weigh it against the potential weekly cost of care and the value of your home, it's a pretty modest investment for some very significant peace of mind. Right, we have covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From the financial risks all the way through to a powerful and legitimate solution for protecting your home. So let's finish up by talking about the practical next steps you should probably consider. Okay, first and foremost, a very clear disclaimer. The information we've discussed is for general guidance only, and it's accurate as of March 2026. It is absolutely not a substitute for professional legal or financial advice that is tailored to your own personal circumstances. Everyone's situation is different, and you really must get advice that reflects your specific family and financial setup. So, if this has raised some important questions for you, the single best thing you can do is speak with an expert. The team at Pro Tax Accountant, who put all of this guidance together, are ready to help. You can get in touch with them directly through WhatsApp, give them a call, or send an email. They'll be able to give you clear, professional advice on whether this is the right strategy for you and your family. We really hope this has given you a much clearer understanding of protective property trusts and how they can help secure your family home for the people you love. For more clear, practical financial guidance just like this, please do subscribe to the Pro Tax Accountant channel. Thanks so much for your time.